2017, I lost my mother. And one of my fondest memories of my mother had to be the summer of 1984, 1985. We had just seen the original Ghostbusters, and all we wanted, me and my brother Lance, all we wanted to be was Ghostbusters. At this time, there wasn't really any toys or anything like that to be bought, because the movie hadn't hit the popularity, but we already knew that this was going to be a bona fide classic. So, you know what my mom did? She took two old shoe boxes, draped them in aluminum foil, and got a paper towel roller, you know, the empty one, and put aluminum foil around that. And she made us two Ghostbusters logos. I seen her craftily sketch out the ghost symbol, you know, the classic iconic ghost symbol. And we put it on our costume right here, you know, for the patch. And we walked around the neighborhood, and weeks after that, being Ghostbusters. And I tell you what, that's the best costume I've ever had in my life, because my mom took her time and made us a Ghostbuster. She put her love into it, you know. We just had two old suspender straps for straps, but it was so special because she did it, you know. And I've been Killmonger for Halloween, made zombie costumes. I won special effect makeup contests, but nothing was special as my mom making those proton packs. True story. So Ghostbusters 1984 is one of my favorite films. It is my favorite film of all time. I just don't understand how you can get comedy, horror, science fiction all put together in this perfect package that makes a perfect movie. Ghostbusters is a damn near perfect movie. As they say, it's lightning in a bottle. It might be. It might be lightning in a bottle. You put that movie in the Smithsonian's of classic movies. It's the first it's like one of the first blockbusters before it even knew it was a blockbuster. Sure, Star Wars had came before it. I think even Superman had came before it. So we had this essence of blockbuster. And that, in 1984, was the highest grossing film of that year. And all we wanted to be was a Ghostbusters. So to be 45 years old and be going to see Ghostbusters Afterlife was a weird feeling. I was almost afraid, will I be let down, or, you know, or will it not live up to my expectations? But I know what it is. I know it's the real Ghostbusters. I know it's the proton pack that I know, the old Ecto one that I had the toys with you know, with the pop out seat. You know, I had all of that. You know, once we were able to get the toys, so I was nervous. I just didn't want, you know, something. I know you say you can never mess up your childhood. We always got the original, but like, I just like don't really mess this up and disappoint me. That's what I'm thinking deep inside as a fan. So let's get into this review. Ghostbusters 2 is directed by Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the first two Ghostbuster installments. Now, this Ghostbusters Afterlife retcons part 2, so I didn't see any mentions of part 2. So I think it's, in this universe, it's Ghostbusters 1, and then there's Afterlife. The story of Ghostbusters Afterlife: so a family is falling on hard times. They move to Oklahoma in the desert, and they quickly find out that they might be related to a famous Ghostbuster. And that Ghostbuster, of course, is Egon Spengler. Let me go over some of the things that I loved about this film. All right, let's start with the special effects. The special effects are first. Special effects were really good in this film. I could have used more special effects. I did like the practical effects on the terror dogs. The terror dogs are awesome. You know what I'm saying? When you see them, when the camera's up close to them, they got slob in their mouth. You can see they're tangible. They're real. I really enjoyed that. And even the CG I think is a part in the trailer when like a devil dog has a spectral form and it just flies off. Let's give it up to McKenna Grace, Phoebe, played by Egon Spengler's daughter. This little girl is a star, a bona fide star. I can't wait to see what more she does. She literally carries this movie on her back. I'm not even lying. She was that good. I mean, she's Egon's granddaughter, so she's acting like Egon, but not imitating them to like 100%, but she had all his manner. Her dry humor, her dark humor just works. She works. She's like perfect casting, like a Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man or a Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Egon Spengler, granddaughter, Phoebe, is perfect for this role. My second favorite character in this film is Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is the the best fucking science teacher you can ever have. He has the kids watching like Chucky and Cujo's, and I'm looking at this film from Paul Rudd's eyes. You know, I'm excited for Ghostbusters. Like, they find Ghostbusters equipment, like they find a trap, and he's so excited because he was like a big fan, a scientist. You know, he's like, fuck yeah, science man, we got a trap, let's go outside and try it out. Like, that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? So, but his characters are really enjoyable. I mean, it's Paul Rudd. Like, how you gonna mess up Paul Rudd in the Ghostbusters movie? I think he was kind of made to be in this type of film. But I will say I could have used more Paul Rudd. You know, something weird happens to Paul Rudd, and he's kind of not in the film towards the second or third act. We definitely could have used more of him. Now let's go to Finn Wolfhard, that plays Phoebe's brother. I thought he fell flat, to be straight up honest with you. He didn't have a lot to do in the first place, and his acting as well, it just seemed like he was spitting out lines. He was not a memorable character, you know. I hate to say that. I wanted to latch on to him more, but I felt that, you know, he just kind of wasn't there. I mean, they didn't give him enough to do. And that's another Ghostbuster here, like the young Ghostbusters, this black girl. I don't even remember her name because she was so forgettable that we didn't care anything. If she wasn't in the movie, I don't think anybody would care. You know what I'm saying? She didn't even need to be in the movie. I'm serious. She was that forgettable. Now, that leads me to Podcast. Now, Podcast is a fun character for the Ghostbuster franchise. He reminds me of a sort of like a young Dan Aykroyd, super enthusiastic. He plays, of course, a podcaster. You're like, oh, dude, you one of my subscribers? I can almost smell the inside of the Ecto-1. I know it smells like thrift store and probably battery acid. You know, this movie is good. It's good, but it's not great. It has issues, you know. It has issues, and that's okay, you know. I just want you to know that, like, the third act of the film is rushed. It seems like, honestly, like 20 minutes was cut off. The big battle at the end is kind of underwhelming, to be honest with you. Like, it's like, well, I was kind of a letdown, you know, until something happens at the end and it brings the audience all back. And I'm not going to spoil that here for you, which was fantastic. It was fantastic, and it's the second movie that started getting me choked up this week, and I think it puts a great bookend on the Ghostbusters legacy from the '84 one till now. Is this better than the 1984 Ghostbusters? No, not a chance in hell. No, it's not even close to being better than the original Ghostbusters. No. The first Ghostbusters, like I said, belongs in the Smithsonian. It's a bona fide classic. This is a good send-off to the Ghostbusters. This one reminds me of the real Ghostbusters cartoon that I used to watch. It's a cartoon, you know. The ghosts are not that scary, you know. They're not that scary. The threat is a big threat, but they handle it kind of cartoony, and that's okay. I think this film could have been a little bit better. I think they should have added about 20 minutes more to this film to explain certain things that was happening in the third act instead of just rushing to it. I think the film suffers from that. But overall, it is a fun film to watch, though. I mean, like, you got me. When I hear that sound in the theater, that the all-time, I think my man Black Tastic said the Ghostbuster sounds are some of the most iconic sounds in movie history. And I agree with that point. Yes, when you hear the proton packs turn on and that neutrino wine fire up, it's just exciting. And you hear the Ecto-1 blaring through the streets, it's just brought me back. And I can smell the nostalgia, and that's okay. I'm a fan, so please service me. You know what I'm saying? It was dope. But it's more or less the Force Awakens of the Ghostbusters, you know, and that's okay, because they didn't mess it up. This is not a bad film on any rate, but it doesn't compare to the first film, and that's okay. But it's a good send-off for the Ghostbusters. Okay, so overall, my score for Ghostbusters Afterlife, me being a huge fan and not being biased, because, you know, I can get in here and be biased because I'm a Ghostbuster fan. I can like everything because it's Ghostbusters. But I have to be completely and 100% honest. This gets a 3.8 out of 5. You know, go see it for sure. It's a great time at the movies, you know, and I enjoy it. I'm not trying to be too critical about this film, but I want to give you my honest opinion about things. I just think the third act was was really rushed. Some stuff didn't make any sense at all. The last battle was a little disappointing. I could have used a little bit more, but McKenna Grace, like I said, steals the show. If they make another Ghostbuster in this universe, of course I would see it. It was a great send-off, and this was for Harold Ramis, and I respect the hell out of that, and I gotta appreciate it, for that alone. But 3.8 is not a bad score; it's a good score. And I suggest everybody go check out Ghostbusters Afterlife. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Me talk about Ghostbuster Afterlife. What do you guys think of the movie? I'm like genuinely curious of what you guys thought about the movie. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video, go ahead and hit me that thumbs up. If you really like this content, consider subscribing to the Q Review family. And if they ask you a God, you say yes. Peace.
I'm out cold, you hoes been exposed. Walk up on you slow with the flow and unload. You got more left for dead on the road. I strode when your car got towed.